Hello and welcome back to the Battle Room. My name is Colin, and I'm joined by my good friend Raghav to talk about the season changes for 2025. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. I actually, as soon as these rule changes came out, I rushed home just to record this video. I actually quit my job because they wouldn't let me leave. So I'm here for you guys. I'm here for the video.
Same, honestly. I woke up. A lot of like this was fucking crazy. Like I actually just got approved for a new apartment, but honestly, this one like really affected my day more so than that. So that was pretty nuts.
It kind of
Um,
affects your life
It
on a
does.
longer
It
term
does.
scale.
It kind of fucking does. So first of all, the biggest change. We'll start with this one. The World Championship qualification has changed. It is no longer a bar, but instead, we're not gonna talk about TCG or Go. We don't really give a fuck about that shit. But for
Yeah.
VGC, well, I guess technically it's the same thing. But for VGC, we get 75. Oh, I don't know, 75 masters invited to Worlds, which is pretty crazy because we did have the bar for like almost fucking 10 years since 2015, right? So this is a really, really big
Yeah.
change.
Because it really has been almost 10 years now. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Since I started playing.
it like most people only know the bar. Like again, last time was 2015 where we had a bar of 40. Um, but yeah, so it's pretty crazy. 50 is a big deal. Obviously, then there's 75 for Europe, 50 for Latin America, and 20 for Oceania. They really hate those guys down under.
There's just not that many.
Yeah, they don't even have an internet anymore. They were stripped of that.
Ah,
But yeah, 75 is pretty crazy because obviously the bar is just gonna be like there's no bar, so it's just like you just need
a
to
lot
beat
less people.
you just need to beat this many people. I believe this year's Worlds is going to be one of the largest ever. I believe there's around 900 qualified players, from what I heard from Justin.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a huge tournament, and now they're cutting it down to like what is this? I mean, so another big thing is that I
Like
don't,
220.
yeah, 220. But they're also each regional will have a winner that will not take away from like each regional will give a winner that will basically just add on to this. So we will get more
So
than
we're looking at like
75.
300 people, including Japan, probably.
Yeah, we have no idea about Japan and Korea. So
Yeah.
yeah, but that's a huge deal. Like this is just significantly smaller. I think a lot of players were pretty outraged on Twitter today, if I do say so. We saw a lot of people really frustrated because I do feel like obviously for a player like me or Raghav, I mean it does suck for us too, but like this is something that is like achievable, right? Like this is something that we could see ourselves doing. But so for some players like this is really daunting, and it seems like a lot of money and a lot of time invested.
Yeah, I think it's also just like maybe a little toxic. Just in, I feel like the bar was like kind of fine. Like you could just make it harder, maybe just raise the bar. I feel like this way it's a little like, I feel like part of like Pokemon's at least on face value, like they care about like the spirit of the game and all that shit. This just creates like a toxicity. I feel.
It does. I
Like
mean, like in 2015, for
yeah,
example, it was very much like you would not actively root, but like you'd be like, "Damn, I really hope this guy loses because otherwise he's gonna take my slot. I really hope he bombs." Um, One thing to note though is it does create a sense of unity in a way. When we do go to international championships, so another change they're making is that the top four players from the international get invites, which means that basically adds four more invites to us. So what that would mean is we really want like each like region wants their region to do well at internats and to even potentially go to other regions regionals and win them. That would be really huge for the slots. You're just basically getting a bonus one. So it is really it becomes
that's
really
kind of
toxic.
funny.
It
But
becomes
like
toxic in a way because it's like if
yeah,
you're gonna start rooting against potentially friends from other countries just because you're like, man, I really hope US gets another slot. Like it's really silly.
yeah. Do they have like stipends for the internets and stuff still? Is that all the same?
Well, that will be coming later. But yeah,
Okay, okay. We'll stay on topic.
so yeah, 75 slots, which is pretty nuts. Obviously the two big ones, and then 50 for LATAM and 20 for Oceania. I think
I
it really.
honestly,
Oh, go.
I am a little worried about myself for next year just because I'm not going to be hitting up as many events. So like, I don't know. I'm kind of confused on how hard it's going to be next year just because like, again, with the the auto invites too, it's probably going to be like 90ish people or something. I'm not sure, but like Yeah, I'm not sure where exactly I'm gonna need to be and what finishes I'll need. Obviously, I've had two very good seasons in a row, so like, hey, if I get some good finishes, I'll be fine. But like, I don't know. It even as like a really experienced player, someone who's been playing for so long, it is kind of a big daunting change.
It is, yeah, and especially because again, it's like very competitive, and it does, I think, make like the streams more exciting because it will be watching the players who's jockeying for position. Oh, is this guy even close? Like, can he do it? Um, but yeah, all right, let's scroll down a little bit. So now this is the League and Global Challenge. So the VGC Global Challenge, I don't think you've seen this, Raghav, but the point
Oh, what
payout
is this?
got this is for the GCs. Remember?
Holy
Yeah,
shit!
the points are crazy. Look at this. You literally get
What?
20 just for playing.
I'm gonna have to play in all of them.
You
Oh
have
my
to take
God.
them very, very seriously. I think they
I'm very good
were,
at them at least.
yeah, they were kind of hinting that there's going to be more than like three, I guess. But yeah, there's going to be plenty of challenges, and like they're worth a ton of fucking points.
Oh my God,
Um,
dude, Paul Chu is gonna be first in NA.
and then the championship events. So this would be the regionals and then the internets. So the regionals, the winner gets 350, but they also do get an invite, so that's really like kind of whatever. But like, look at this big jump. It was actually pointed out
Why
on
they
Twitter.
increase it so much for what?
Just for fun, dude. I don't know. But so the second place does get 325.
It's only 25 difference.
The
Okay.
huge jump though is like, actually look at this one. There is a
Top
120
eight.
point.
Oh my.
Yeah, if you get top 8 at a regional, you get 120 points more than top 16, which is absolutely ridiculous. Again, these points really don't matter for top 4, outside of like for stipends, obviously, but for
Yeah.
for these it doesn't really matter. But like getting like top 8 at an internet is huge. That's like basically
That's nuts.
that's probably, I think if you had a pretty decent season and you get top 8, you're going to Worlds, like straight up.
Okay, yeah, but top 8 at an internets is really hard.
Yeah, it is really hard, but it is, yeah. And then top 16, like it's a 200 point increase, man. It's really crazy.
Yeah, that's
But
nuts.
one thing to note here is that like a lot of people were really frustrated with internets giving out so much, because especially because now you'll notice that the best finish limit is of 6 between both regionals and internationals. So the big thing people are really pissed about here,
Oh.
yeah, is that if you go to all 3 internationals, you get 3 internets finishes, but everyone else, if they don't go to all 3, is going to have like some regionals in there, which is really hard to compete with these giant price values, right? Like going to 3 internets is very broken, and
But
that's
it's
where
kind of been that
people.
way anyway. You could have just gone to 3 internets in the past. and
Of
you
course.
still- It's not that they're actually nerfed technically.
They are nerfed a little bit. Like if you notice here, if you actually get like, if you do like really like, I don't want to say mediocre, but if you don't like actually like go pretty deep, like top 64 is where it starts to pay off pretty well. But you literally can counter that with a top 8, which isn't that crazy to do, like in theory, right? Obviously it's still very difficult. But once you start
Yeah.
getting into these, like you're actually really cooking. But
I think though that like this is actually technically them having shared BFLs is like, doesn't it actively help people who can't?
yes, it
travel
does.
to
It does. It does a little bit. Like, but obviously like.
Twisted.
And also, again, like most players are gonna fall into this range, like 129 or like this range, which is like definitely like doable and beatable, like right, like 150, 120 isn't insane. These guys are the ones that really start to cook. But yeah, there's not gonna be as many players who are doing that. And again, the internets are huge. I think the big thing that is really frustrating about this change is that internets are very hard to get into. Like London last year, plenty of players missed out, and missing out on an international is a huge fucking deal.
No,
So
they
just
still got a lot of issues to work out with
just
this.
registering is the hard part, right?
Yeah.
And then I also don't know why they only have the kicker for this too. That's slightly. Oh no, the kicker's 2,000. Never mind. But yeah, I think that the regionals like payout isn't too like, well, it is really crazy, but it really is like, I think you can justify skipping them. It's just you're gonna have to have some really good top 8s or some really good performances to.
You just have to fill your BFLs.
You have to fill your like. I think the really frustrating part about this is you have to go to 6 tournaments, or you have to be incredible and perform incredibly well at the ones you do go to. But I think a 6 requirement, like it does suck that it's like, hey buddy, you got to go to 6 if you want to go to Worlds.
Yeah.
And ideally
What
you
are
go to.
locals like?
Oh, we're getting. We're on our way. Also, they did.
okay.
They did increase the booster pricing, I guess, which is kind of lit. Usually we have
I
about.
like that.
We usually have about 500 to 1,000. So now you're going to get 9 booster packs if you get 256, which is kind of neat. Like, I think that's cool. And then you get more boosters as you go up. But yeah,
Yeah, we'll
look,
take that.
I think top 8, I think that is 2 boxes as well. So we just get more booster packs, which you can sell, which is cool.
Nice.
The pricing itself has not changed for VGC.
Boo, we want
We
more money.
we got 6K, we got 4K. It's the same prizes as we once had before. Internationals is the same. World Championships is the same. The stipends, I believe, are the same as well. For VGC, out of region is going to be 3.5. And there's also, I guess, now 9th through 16th does get priority registration. So that's
that's cool.
that's an added bonus now, is that you actually can register for the tournaments. Crazy that it's a reward. And now this is Raghav doesn't know about this at all. This is a huge change. So they wanted to basically they wanted to speed up the tournaments because they were taking a little bit long. So what they've decided to do is, so normally we get around this many, right? Like roughly. We are only going to have 8 rounds of Swiss in day 1. And then
3 day 2?
And 3 day 2. So that's an 11 round tournament now, which leaves much less. They're just much quicker.
But then how many people bubble?
Well, that's the thing, Raghav. They no longer do. Wait, where is it? They do no longer bubble. After all Swiss rounds completed, the top 8 competitors, plus all competitors with the same number of match points as 8th place, there's no longer a bubble for top cut. So you'll put into into a top cut asymmetrical single elimination bracket.
Okay, that's a lot better, especially with the money thing.
So now it's looking like cuts will probably be like, I mean, wouldn't they get? I don't really understand how the math will truly work out, but I'm imagining like for this one, like because most tournaments are going to fall into this one, right? I don't think we'll ever break 1,024. Sometimes we will hit this one though, so there will be some tournaments that will have 2 rounds of Swiss in day 2.
That's ridiculously dumb.
It is a little dumb to show up to the venue to play 2 rounds and then just stop. But what this does mean is I do think like it will be a little bit nicer on the day 1. 8 rounds isn't too crazy. Day 2 will mostly be that top cut bracket. But yeah, this is apparently extremely frustrating for TCG because of ties and such. But yeah.
Oh.
So for us
we
though,
don't care. This is actually sounds like a breeze.
So yeah, it's going to be much less Pokemon being played. Most of the time, we're just going to have 3 rounds day 2, and then we're going to have 8 rounds day 1. So, and then you're going to have to go into that top cut single elimination bracket, which I think this is an okay change. I saw people on Twitter, people complaining a little bit because I do think top cuts can get a little luck based. You know, like it's matchup based.
No,
you might
sure.
like it can get a little frustrating.
One more round.
I really do think one more round of Swiss might be the perfect. Like I really think you could do like I think we could just go back to the 5 rounds day 2, and then you just cut to the top 8 symmetrical cut or whatever. But yeah, so I think the top cuts are going to be pretty huge. I don't really understand the math again. Like I don't know what it's going to be. But yeah, that's going to be huge. There's going to be at-home competitions, which is we already know, the online stuff. Or maybe that's just Unite. And then we also know we're going back to London. I don't know if this is the same one. And then we are going to be playing in New Orleans again.
Nice. I will be in New Orleans.
You will be in New Orleans. But yeah, so that's the big thing. I think the Swiss here, and then the I don't know where the local CP is.
I don't think it's on here.
I know they nerfed it though. I know they changed it drastically.
Oh, great! Wait, maybe this is the best season for me. Because if locals don't matter that much, I don't really go to them.
Here, let me find it real quick.
Like the BFLs are great. Like, shit.
So I just totally skipped over it, but so here's the points. Yeah. So again, so now you get 4 of these, so there will be much less. They were 6 last season, and so the PCs basically remain the same, which does kind of suck because it does blow to get sec. Well, I guess now. Oh no, this is a little less, I think, because this used to be 30. That's right. So now
it's a lot less for PCs.
So it's a lot less. So PCs roughly are going to give you, if you max all of them, which I don't know if you necessarily need to do, but if you do, that's going to be 60 points, and this is going to be 200 points. So maxing out your cups is probably going to be really important, but these are really like it's 60 points. That's not too crazy considering the points have like skewed really heavily here. 60 points is like, I mean, well, I guess some of these points are pretty big if you're not performing super well, but like this is really just taking you from a top 32 to a top 16 with all of 4 PCs. So that's not even that good. Yeah. Considering you have to play in 4 of them and win 4 of them is pretty nuts. But these will be very, very important. News for me. Yeah, so locals have taken a huge hit, but everything else has gotten hugely increased. But yeah, you really do, unfortunately, I think you really need to win for these PCs. Otherwise, that's a lot of points lost. But
The other thing is, like, even though it's good for me personally, it's kind of sad because you want to grow the local scenes. You want a little bit more incentive, but there is just like a pros and cons of like we don't want just like you to be able to only grind locals to make worlds. Like we want you to have better finishes on the overall season. So I think there is a balance to be made there.
because last year, I know that you could get around 450 points from locals, which in Europe that gets you an invite, and in North America that puts you 50 points off from an invite. So it's like you could basically get your
That's a little
entire invite by just playing locals. So they did nerf them heavily, which I'm down for. I hate playing locals, but that's just me. I do think that it does hurt. Like it does suck because they are forcing you to travel now. Especially again with no bar, like you have to play in these championship events. You can't just play global challenges, which I do think is rather unfortunate. I do think I saw several players already tweet that they're kind of done with the season because they just simply can't go to a ton of events. So it does suck. These
oh man, these global challenges though might save you.
They're pretty nuts. That's a lot of points. But again, you really this is a lot of points too.
Honestly, I'm ready for like my final thoughts on all this. Is that it's just chaos.
It's like chaos, yeah.
It's like a lot to take in, and there's no good way to predict what's gonna happen. It's like we're just gonna see how it's gonna play out. And you did mention that like they were open to feedback or something.
They did tweet out that they were gonna say we're open to feedback. We're listening to you. So obviously this could be subject to change because the season hasn't started at all yet. But yeah, it's gonna be really really crazy once we get going through it. It's very competitive. It's very you really want people who with a lot of points to fail. You want to catch up to them. You want to beat them. So I think it does suck for new players. It's really daunting to try and be one of the best 75 players in the country. But you never know. You could win a regional. At the end of the day, you could win a regional, and that's all. Like,
or you could win NAIC.
You could win NAIC. I think like Justin Dang, obviously winning his first regional ever was so sick. So you really can't give up on it just yet. I think you got to try and just see where the cards take you. But it does. It is pretty brutal. It's pretty brutal. 75 is not a lot of people.
Yeah, and let us know what you think in the comments.
Yeah, I mean, what do you guys think? You guys like this one? You guys competing for Worlds? This one's really important to me because this will be my 10th Worlds in a row. And so I really want to make this one. It's a huge priority. Like after that, who cares if I never make Worlds again? But this is the one. This is the one I want to get, dude. I want that 10 in a row. But yeah, it's really frustrating. I think especially for like new players or players who necessarily aren't as confident in themselves, who they don't think they're as good yet. It sucks. It's really hard. It's really hard to do, but. I think we'll see as time goes on. We'll see if this is a lot.
Maybe they'll increase it, or they'll just give us a bar again. Who knows?
But again, I think 75 is really daunting. But remember, every regional there's going to be a +1, right? That will not take an invite. I don't know about Worlds, because there will be 4 people who will get auto invites at Worlds. So maybe that will just be 4 more invites. So I really do think that we're going to see more than 75 people, and I think 75 is really daunting. But I do think that, again, there's a regional winner from each one, and NA is fucking goated. We'll take some of those internets home. I mean, hey, we won the last one. We can win a couple more. So, yeah, I think we'll get some more slots. It's still going to be a daunting project, but I think we'll figure it out. We'll see how it goes.
It'll be fine. We'll figure it out.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys Monday with another battle video. Have a great weekend. Peace.